I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. The Planning Commission meeting of Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. Robin, do we have any public comment this evening?
No general comment, no.
Okay, so do I need to read our general statement then if we're just going to go right?
Just the one for the preliminary plat.
Okay, which I will wait to do until we get to the preliminary plat component. Well, let me introduce the Planning Commission members who are here this evening. To my left is Samit Shah, Fred Edwards, Kurt Nolte. I'm Paul Moore, Chair, Mark Bittner, and Ron Gilbert. So, Robin, the first item on our agenda this evening is the approval of the action minutes, correct?
So I have, on the agenda is November 20th, but I have also supplied to you a special called meeting from last week. So After you do the 20th, if you can go ahead and vote on the other one, that would be great.
Okay. May I have a motion for approval of the December 11th Planning Commission minutes?
I'll move to accept the minutes of the Wednesday, November 20th minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none.
I'm sorry, was that Ron that did
it was
the
Ron.
second? Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, the second minutes that we have for review is the Planning Commission meeting that took place on November 20th. It was the review of the
So excuse me, Paul, I think that Fred made the motion for the first November 20th, and then even...
Paul,
I misspoke. I misspoke. Yes, this...
Okay.
Let's
so now
review
if you
that,
can
shall we?
vote on the December 11th
December
special
11th,
call.
which is the review of the tree canopy,
Yeah.
tree ordinance. May I have a motion for that?
I move to accept the action minutes from the December 11th meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, just a quick point of discussion on that. Ron has did a terrific job of capturing some minutes of that meeting as well that were written in a letter to Parag, Sandra, any others that were on that list, Ron?
No, and I copied you.
And of course, yeah, me too. And those have been reviewed by staff and legal will be considered, those notes will be considered when we get to the joint session of the Planning Commission and Mayor and Council in January when that gets slated. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay. Robin, do you want to sound the next one?
Okay, you want me to sound it and then you'll do
Yeah.
the little speech? Okay. We just have one preliminary plat, Hickory Crest Phase 2 by R.L. and Rita Glosson to propose 8 single-family homes for a new subdivision on 10.894 acres zoned AG1.
Great, thank you. So the Planning Commission is tasked by the city subdivision ordinance to conduct a public hearing on proposed preliminary plats that have been found to be complete by the Community Development Department. At the conclusion of the public hearing, the Planning Commission is required to review the proposed preliminary plat and provide comments and make recommendations regarding the plats to the Community Development Director. The Planning Commission does not approve or reject the proposed preliminary plat, but merely provides comments or recommendations based on the public hearing and the Planning Commission's review of the proposed preliminary plat. Good evening, Melissa.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. So as we mentioned, tonight we're going to be presenting Hickory Crest Phase 2 preliminary plat. So as you may know, Hickory Crest is an existing 25-lot subdivision located in the northwest corner of the city. It's off Hickory Flat Road, and Phase 2 will be located on the adjacent lot just to the west of that existing subdivision. So as we mentioned, the owner is R.L. and Rita Glosson. It's a 10.89 acre tract. It's currently undeveloped. They're proposing 8 single-family lots there to yield a density of 0.73 units per acre, and the current zoning is AG1. So here is the overall parent parcel. I wanted to show this to you guys before we move into the actual piece we're going to be looking at tonight to show you, to illustrate that the parent parcel was 22.02 acres. It was previously subdivided to split off 3 lots. So as you can see in this slide, the 3 lots range from 3 to 5 acres. So those are the lots that you would be seeing off Hickory Flat. So the Hickory Crest Phase 2 is 8 lots. So you access here with existing interparcel access from the existing subdivision on Hickory Pass. And then you come on through, we've got your 8 lots, 1 lot for a detention pond. And that's basically a very simple subdivision there, so that's pretty much it. This development meets all of our codes, so we're recommending approval tonight. And then the developer's here, so if you guys have any additional questions, we're all here and the staff's here to answer this.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions for staff or the applicant? If not, I have a couple. I guess I'll start with staff. The detention pond that's shown on here, is that earthen? Does it require any additional structure to accommodate the?
No, sir. There's no walls shown on this detention pond. You can see the grading indicates that there's an earthen dam, so it would be more of a natural-looking facility.
And what does that flow into? Do we know where that goes, the water from there?
So there's a creek just adjacent to the west, so the outlet structure there would flow into that, and we'll have outlet protection for that stream.
Okay. The additional question I've got was when was the, is it phase 1 of Hickory Crest that this is attaching to? Is it considered phase 1?
Right, so that was permitted, it was a CUP zoning in 2006 prior to the incorporation, and then they issued the LDP right before we became a city, and then they started construction of the homes right after we became a city, and so that's the timing of that.
Thank you. Just next question for the applicant. Can you tell us about the intended look and feel of the neighborhood? Is it consistent with what is in Hickory Crest today? Larger, smaller, some of it's more the same?
So Hickory Crest was developed with 1 acre lots. So the design criteria as far as the lot layout will be the same. The houses will be similar in size as tastes have changed to a certain extent. They may have more of a farmhouse look than the look, more traditional look that was prior to the recession. But, since a lot of those houses went into foreclosure, maybe we learned something and maybe a reason why these houses will have a little different feel. But they will probably be, the price point will be a little bit higher just based upon economics, but they will have more of a urban farmhouse style, the new coined phrase, as opposed to the more traditional homes that were constructed in there prior to the recession before the development went bankrupt. So,
And Scott, I may
Yes.
have missed it. Did you just say your name for the record?
Oh, I did not. Scott Reese with Brumlow Reese and Associates, doing business at 13685 Highway 9, Milton, Georgia 30004.
Thanks. Is the intended, can you give us a ballpark on intended square footage and or price range?
Mr. Glosson? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And while Mr. Glossen's coming up, I just give FYI, I did mention it was a CUP in phase 1 with 30-foot front setback, so it'll be a little bit different as far as the setting of the homes. It may look a little more traditional AG1 being set back further.
So we'll have a 50-foot front setback.
60 foot.
60, 50, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, 60, 50, 25. So,
Yeah, I'm
That's
sorry.
right.
So
I
it'll
was
be
gonna
the
go
true
there
AG1 versus the CUP that they had 30-foot front, 15 side. So anyway, just FYI. And they did have a minimum, not that we can make any requirements for them, but just FYI, the minimum heated floor area was 3,000 square feet for that subdivision.
Thank you. Mr. Glosson,
I recently met with two members of the HOA.
would you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is R.L. Glosson. This is my wife Rita and my son-in-law Scott, who works for us. And
Your address, too.
pardon me?
Your address.
My address is 843 A.J. Land Road, Canton, Georgia.
Great, thank you. Go ahead with your comments.
I was just going to say that I met with two members of the HOA from Hickory Crest subdivision, and if you look at that plat, their street dead ends into my property right now. There's no cul-de-sac there. Right. And it was planned originally, they were going to carry it on into this property, and the economy turned south and they didn't buy it. So all we want to do is carry this street right on in. They're going to amend their covenants and their restrictions in the subdivision to adopt me. I'm going to abide by their covenants. They have since raised their square footage, they tell me, to 4,500 feet, which I'm okay with that. I assured them I'm going to build a home just as comparable to anything they have. It's going to be in the same price point they're in, and do something I'm going to be proud to have done. And the beauty of this thing for me is that their HOA maintains their pond, so it will maintain my pond.
Oh, great.
So that's great.
Great.
That's a great thing.
Do you have a target price range at this point?
They will. My lots are going to have to be about 200,000. There was 2 or 3 lots that traded recently in there to Peachtree Residential for 175. My lots are going to be about 200, and I think my houses will be just over $1 million to $1.5 million, maybe.
And is that consistent with the price point that's in the front end of the neighborhood?
That's more.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think Peachtree Residential's, the new one that they just finished has been around 890 or 900. The house just adjoining my property there, LaShawn McCoy, the football player, owned. It was recently on the market for $1,250,000, and I don't know what it closed at, but probably somewhere in that neighborhood. It's a beautiful home.
Great. Mr. Lawson, I would say it was a pleasure meeting you a couple of months ago. We had a chance to talk about some of your
I appreciate meeting you.
plans
Yes,
for the area.
you had a good memory.
One of the things that we talked about when we met was your interest in developing larger estate lots in the community. Is that still in your plan, or is this part of what that land use is turning into?
Those 3 lots up front, I did 2 3-acre lots and 1 5-acre lot. I expect that 5-acre lot, it's the prettiest lot in North Fulton County, I believe, and I priced it at $700,000. I mean, it's going to be really high end. I'm doing a gated entry. I've already done a lot of boulders, walls. Come up there and look at it. It's beautiful.
Oh, I've seen it. That's why I was asking. I thought it was spectacular.
Well, thank you, sir. I have, for y'all that don't know me, I have just finished a subdivision just across Little River in Cherokee County that I've been working in for the last 4 years. It's 20 lots. I built every house in there. They were $900,000 to $1.2 million, and it just I finished it and sold the last house. I'm totally done. The county's adopted my roads and everything, and I'm really proud of it. It turned out beautiful. It's on Gant Road off of Sugar Pike. It's called the Estates at Serenity Farm, and I welcome you to go in there and look at it. It's my county commissioner, Ray Gunnan, has told me that it's a model for what you can do on a big lot.
Well, from what I've had a chance to learn about you, I do applaud what you have been doing, and we are delighted to have the quality of work that you're bringing to Milton. I know that in the conversation that we had that evening, you expressed a bit of frustration in Milton's willingness to cooperate with some of your bigger picture plans with some of the larger estate lots. I just want to make sure that you understand that we're committed to finding ways to bring larger estate lot development. If larger lots are going to be developed, we encourage them to be larger lots, not just the typical 1 acre. And even in this development you're doing, it's a little bit larger than 1 acre. It looks per plat.
Scott and I feel like it was the best use for the property without forcing something that wasn't going to fit well.
So I'm going to brag on my client just for a second. So on the screen is the proposal that was presented to him by another designer, and it was 18 lots. And he just really didn't like it, and he came to us, and we thought about it and said, well, we feel like the best bang for the buck is to try to create some large lots up on Hickory Flat. And then, you know, the dead-end street, the character was kind of set to a certain extent on the back. And we didn't have enough road frontage to bring in. Our infrastructure costs were going to be such that we couldn't do everything on large lots. But when you look at the final product, including those 3 and 5 acre lots on the front end, as opposed to this 18 acre proposal that was presented to us, and when RL and I looked at what the grading and the infrastructure, it was going to be almost a raping and pillaging of the property to generate 18 lots out there. So I think he really should be commended on what he's done and what's going to come out, because he could have squeezed a few more dollars out of it, but he had owned the property for several years, and like he said, he just couldn't stomach that 1 5 acre lot that is really spectacular on top of the hill. The grading and everything that would have happened with it. So, any more questions? We'll try to answer.
Anybody?
I don't have any.
Just one with regard to the retention facility. Will that ultimately serve the 3 lots that aren't being developed currently?
And I'm sure you're aware, on the minor subdivision plat process, they're exempt from detention. Those houses will have to meet the State Stormwater Act, so they will have individual treatments on them, typically flow wells, where we treat the first flush for the impervious area.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great. So if there's no real issues or concerns, I think we just should take a vote to say that we do or don't support this, and I would entertain a motion to that effect.
I move that the Planning Commission support the
Green Crest 2?
where are we here?
No name on it.
No, it doesn't have a number.
Okay, here it is.
Hickory Crest.
Hickory Crest Flat, parcel ID 22-374-003040-261.
Great. Is there a
I'll
second?
second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate what you're doing.
I appreciate the recognition and the kind words. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
Looks
for what you're
great.
doing.
Thank you again for working on the large lot.
This, I have my property, it's called 100-Year Pond. Is that what that back, this is now?
Is that what he back?
No, is that basically, like, back when, like, what, in 96, they called it 100-Year Pond? Is that what this is called now? Did we change that
Oh,
name?
I don't, that's maybe a question for staff, Mark.
I was just curious, you
Yeah.
know.
Robin, do you know the answer to that?
I didn't hear that.
I-
I didn't hear you.
Sorry, it was just a question, like, on my property, I have, it's called 100-Year Pond. In the back, and it's kind of fenced in, is that, do we not call them that anymore, and it's now called Stormwater Management Facilities? You know, that was back in
Your
96.
subdivision is pretty old, so
Yeah.
I believe that, I'd have to look at the plot, but I think the pond might be on your property. Is that what you're saying?
But there's no pond, it's called a stormwater retention pond, though it's never had water. But
But it's not a
that's what they
separate
call it.
lot on the plat, probably. I don't know, we'd have to look at the
I
plot.
was just curious if
Yeah.
the name changed over the years to this, since I
This is
have
probably
one.
our old retention ponds. That's what they used to call them back in the day, or retention ponds, which meant they retained water for a short time and then let them out. So most of the time you see them dry.
I was just curious. It was-
But I mean, what's your question, is just
No,
the
I just
name
didn't know
of
if
it? I'm
the
sorry. I
name
can't-
changed from 100-Year Pond to a stormwater retention area.
Right, yeah, it's just
That's all.
name, yeah,
As-
exactly.
Since 96.
Yeah.
So,
And usually on the older subdivisions, they wouldn't plat a separate lot for the detention pond, so that gets a little
Oh,
complicated.
yeah, no, it's right on my property. It's part of my property.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we don't do that anymore. We make the developer put it on a separate lot, and then the HOA is totally responsible for it, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Great. I just have one more item that's not on the agenda this evening. I'd like to take a minute and thank Mark Bittner for his service. Mark has faithfully served the Planning Commission for the last 8 years, and we know that with elections sometimes comes transition, and when Mark and I talked about the plan, my plan for the Planning Commission with some of the appointments I had to make, or the opportunity to make, Mark had graciously suggested that if it was my will, he would respectfully step aside, and I have chosen to accept Mark's offer to that. But it's not because I'm disappointed in where Mark might have taken this in the future. As a matter of fact, quite the contrary. Mark, having served for 8 years, if you just do the simple math on that, that's 96 meetings. And if you do the further math on that, when the fact that we probably had a couple special called meetings in addition to that, the ordinances that we've worked on, the meetings that have gone well into the night, we're probably in excess of 140 to 150 meetings worth of contribution. And Mark has served the community in stellar form. When Matt Coons appointed Mark, he immediately stepped into a role and has made a contribution from the very beginning. So we also thank Matt Coons for appointing Mark, because he saw he had the vision to find a seasoned expert and professional like Mark has been for us. Mark's represented the community well. He represents a small business owner, and his perspective to the Planning Commission has served that community well. He has served the finished neighborhoods well, and he's served the open road communities with great performance on behalf of all of our members of Milton. He didn't align himself with any one particular style or methodology to approach it. He always took a wide open approach and had an open mind in every case that we heard. And in each of those cases, he made a meaningful contribution to those as well. He has served our community not just for his neighborhood and the small business, but from north to south to east and west. And I think the community should feel like they were well served by Mark's contribution here. He has served as a vice chair for the committee, or for our commission as well. And he served us in a very eloquent and professional way when called upon to occupy this seat, and I thank him for that. We'll miss Mark's contribution here. We look forward to the next step as well. We hope that he's not a stranger to the Planning Commission. You've brought tremendous professionalism, and we can't thank you enough, Mark, for the contribution that you've made.
Thank you very much for the kind words. I really have enjoyed it. I truly enjoyed it. I know some people don't, or some people look forward to getting off, but I really did enjoy my time. I learned a lot. I met a lot of nice people, and I just have nothing but, a good experience for me, and I appreciate it. And, thank you for the words.
Well, thank you from all of us. This is also my last meeting as a part of the Planning Commission. So I want to, yeah, that's right, there are going to be some in the crowd, celebrating that. But I don't go away, unfortunately, as well. So I want to take a minute as well and just say a few words. First, I'd like to thank Joe Lockwood for the opportunity to serve him for the past 13 years. Joe had the opportunity to in transition, to take me off at the Planning Commission several times, and I offered it to him several times, and he was kind enough and gracious enough to allow me to continue. And I appreciate his opportunity to serve. I wanted to thank Robin and Michelle and Melissa and Parag and a long list of other staff members who have served this commission well. We appreciate the hard work that you do to help make our jobs easier, and I always felt like we had a complete packet from which to work to make sure that we did our very best to represent the cases that have come before us, some more difficult than others, some going far into the night, and I apologize for some of that because you guys know that oftentimes I was a page turner from line by line, paragraph by paragraph, regardless of whether it was 1 page or 60 pages. You all endured my plan of attack on those, and I've very much appreciated. I'd like to thank all of the Planning Commission members, those here this evening and those that have served us before, going back to members like Curtis Mills and Wilson Borden, Jennifer Fletcher, Bob Moab. Who am I missing, Scott? I'm sorry? Oh, well, George Ragsdale, who served us as our original chairman of the Planning Commission, and several others that I may have missed in calling out this evening. But I think this I've enjoyed in my 13-year tenure here a tremendous team of support, and can't thank each of you enough for the contribution that you have been making to allow me to lead a good commission here. This Planning Commission has always worked well together. We've never had to have fights. We may have fought vigorously for one case or another, but we've all served each other and the community well by the fact that once we finish that discussion, we've gone on to be friends and familiar and comrades in making sure that we do our very best for the city. And I thank you all for that kind of cooperation as well. I thank people like Scott Reese, who's come before us in a professional way over the years, and other applicants as well, who've been represented by a variety of members of the community and legal representation as well, who've come before this commission and presented themselves in a way that is Milton-esque, and have understood what our vision for Milton is all about. I look forward to carrying that forward in my next opportunity, in my next role as well. It's been a distinct honor to serve all of you in the role that as I see it, where I am a servant of the community and hope to be a representative of the voices that I engage both in these chambers as well as out and about in the community. I appreciate the opportunity to serve. I look forward to doing at the next level to serving the community in the same way I have in the past 13, and I appreciate the community's support in the most recent election to allow me to have a chance to do that at the level of just the next step, going in as a chance to be a council member. So thank you all for that opportunity. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned. So, and then is it appropriate to announce, Robin, that the Planning Commission is moving from this as in our holiday tradition? The Planning Commission asks members of staff to join us as our guests in our appreciation for the hard work that they do for us. So we're adjourning to Campania for dinner this evening to honor them, and as well as to honor Mark and his contribution as well. We look forward to you guys joining us.
Moving on.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey, quit cutting out the number of payers. So, all right, thank you all.